Hi, this is Lisa from rollergirl.ca, and today we're going to talk about cleaning Moxi skates and other Suede skates. These are my Moxi skates, and they are pretty grimy and dirty and in need of cleaning, but luckily they can be cleaned. They're not going to be as pretty as they were when they were new, but they're going to be so much better. So let's do it. So I wanted to start just by showing the condition of the skates before and after washing. So the skate over here is dirty. You can see some of the really gross parts like the sweat stains around the Moxi logo here and on the inside of the boot, the tongue, which has absorbed a lot of sweat and moisture over the years. Also just the overall dirtiness of the boots. From sort of the toe all the way back here, you can just see all the dirty marks. This boot over here has already gone through the cleaning process, and you can see that I've been able to lift a lot of that dirt out of the boots. And not only do they look cleaner, but they actually have better color than the dirty boots do. They're greener, less gray than the dirty boots. So here we have the before and the after of our cleaning process. These are the products that you're going to need to clean your skates. We have a Suede eraser, a Suede brush, and Suede cleaner or shampoo. These products are available at shoe repair shops, shoe stores, or you can buy them direct at rollergirl.ca. A sponge, any sponge will do. We're using a piece of a helmet liner because that's what we had handy. Water and paper towel. The first step is to use the Suede eraser. This is a fabulous tool. If you have Suede shoes or Suede skates, I highly recommend you pick up one of these. They are fantastic for removing spots and stains. In this case, we're going to use it on the entire boot. These skates are dirty enough to justify that. So we're going to start in the dirtiest areas. Where you can, use them in little tiny circles, but in other places that's not possible. And don't worry that you're going to damage them. You can be pretty aggressive with the Suede eraser. It sort of just picks up the dirt off the surface of the skates. Make sure to do all the surfaces. Don't forget the tongue, the backstay. And we'll actually be using this eraser at several points during the cleaning process. But it's okay if the really dirty spots, you're going to go over them a couple of times each time just because it's really where you need to focus your work. Right, I'm going to flip the boot. It's a little workout too. Like I said, don't forget the tongue. It's a little hard to access. Kind of a messy job, so make sure to do this somewhere where you don't have carpet or some place where this is easy to clean. Alright, once you've done one pass on the entire boot with the Suede eraser, you are going to take your Suede brush and you are going to brush off all of the Suede eraser remnants off the boots. And this not only removes the Suede eraser from the boot, it actually lifts dirt and dust. So we're doing the first step of the cleaning here. So already you can see that the boot is actually looks cleaner, and we've been able to pick up some of those marks. And that is step 1. For the next step, we're going to moisten the skate. And I know that it seems a little scary to wet your Moxi, but trust me, this works really, really well. So you're going to take your sponge, you're just going to dip it in the water. And we want the boot to be wet, but not soaking wet. So you're just going to lightly dab at the boot until it darkens and you can see that the surface is wet. You may want to remove your wheels for this step so that you don't get any water on your wheels and bearings. I'll be careful. So we're just going to go along and moisten the surface. Dab it if you get any sort of super wet spots. But you do want it fully saturated. And actually you'll see that during the process of doing this, your water tends to get a little bit disgusting. You can see all of the dirt that you're pulling out of the boots. And then you can actually, especially in the dirty areas, scrub it a little bit as you go, just to lift a little bit more. This is actually a good trick too if you have taken your skates out and gone through a puddle and got water stains or spots on your boots. It seems a little funny, but if you do this process when there's spotting on your boots, it will remove water spots. So even if your boots are new and clean otherwise and they just have a couple spots from going through a puddle, if you wet the whole boot, you'll find the spots are gone when they dry. Also applies obviously to suede boots. Make sure to get in and around all those little eyelets, and I do find that this is one of the dirtiest spots on my skates. It's right beside those dirty little eyelets. And around the Moxi logo. So I'm going to give that a good scrubbing. Too much water there. All right, so I'm going to turn it and do the other side. Don't forget to do all the surfaces, including the tongue and the backstay. I actually like to wipe the cloth areas too because they're just as dirty. You can't see it, but they do have as much dirt and grime and sweat on them. Take your time. It can be a little bit difficult to get the surface to absorb the water at first, but don't apply too much. When you see it sits on the surface like that, I'm being a little rushed. You want to be slow and let the water slowly work in. And as I said before, if there are spots where you're seeing extra staining and marking, now is a good time to do a little bit of rubbing. See if you can rub those out just a little bit. So this is looking good. On these, I always find that my tongues really do pick up a lot of dirt, moisture, sweat, kind of the grossest part. A little more scrubbing. Same trick I did before. Helps you get a little pressure when you're scrubbing on the tongue, because as I said, it does seem to be one of the dirtiest parts of my skate. And they tend to be stiff, and if you work them out with the water and with the shampoo, you'll find they soften and sit better on your ankles, and they're just more comfortable. So you can pick up that excess water. You see already it's looking better. I mean, it's wet, but you can see that it's softer. Also, don't forget to wash the inside of the tongue. This tongue is pretty dirty, but the shampoo stage where we clean it afterwards will pick up even more of that dirt. We're just getting it started here now. All right, so we've completed the wetting stage. The whole boot is damp now, and the next thing we're going to do is just stuff it full of bunched up paper. You can use any kind of paper. You just don't really want to use, say, newspaper, because that can leave ink on the inside of your boots. And we're doing this so that when the boots dry, that they hold their shape nicely because they're wet. So I'm using a craft paper here, but you can use any paper that you have handy. Perfect. So now we just simply let the skates dry. Overnight usually does the trick, and we'll come back and we'll clean them with the Suede cleaner. So it's the next day, and our skates have fully dried, as you can see. I have also taken the brush and just brushed them lightly to bring the nap up a little bit. Just the water wash that we did yesterday has done a good job cleaning them, and that a lot of the dirt has been lifted. They look so much better than yesterday. So now it's time to move on to the shampoo or the cleaner. You can use any Suede cleaner that you have. Just make sure to read the instructions and test it out on maybe a piece of the tongue, someplace where it's not super visible, just to see if there's any color change. So let's get started. For this product, we use our sponge, and you're going to, once again, apply enough to dampen the boot without making it soaking wet. And we're going to work our way over the entire surface of the boot. All right, so we have applied the shampoo to all the surfaces of the boot. We're going to let it dry completely and come back for a final brush and eraser treatment. All right, it's the next day and our skate is fully dried and it looks great. It looks nice and clean, a lot better than it did a couple of days ago. I'm going to do a last pass with the eraser and the brush just to pick up any last marks that I want to take off. So I'm going to take the eraser and just do some spot work where there's some marks left. Another thing is you might see on your skates that you have areas that are really dark where the Suede has been really compacted, dirtied, and compressed. If you use the sharp edge of the brush, you can dig at it and raise up the nap where it has been compressed. Mine isn't really like that, but you see this with a lot of skates. If the knife isn't working, just use your nail and kind of pick at it and lift it, and you'll find that you can pick up that nap. Once you've done your pass with the eraser, you're just going to brush your Suede, removing the dust from the eraser and just sort of waking up the nap again. that is that. As I said, it's not perfect. There still are some marks on these boots, but they seem so much fresher and nicer and less grungy than they did, and it really has brought back the color and the life to the boot. Another step that is not mandatory, but you might choose to do, is that you can use a suede protector at this point. You're going to follow the instructions on your bottle and spray down the boots. This will protect them from water spotting later on, make them easier to clean, and it kind of conditions the leather a little bit too. For this particular case, I'm not going to. I think my boots are just fine the way they are. Although they could use some new laces. So here's the final result. Here are my pretty Moxis, all fresh and clean, and you can see just how much better they look from all the nice angles. I hope that you enjoyed this video. This is Lisa from rollergirl.ca. Happy skating!